Welcome to Wisdom Within with Tina and Tonya. We are going to be bringing you one of our a topic that has been affecting Tina and I most seriously, and that is the topic of self-doubt. So we are going to cover the causes of self-doubt, the symptoms of self-doubt, and of course, we're going to leave you with some remedies for self-doubt. So if that topic keeps coming up for you, it keeps creating chaos and challenges in your life, you want to stay tuned and listen to this episode. So before we dive into that, Tina, will you help us set the space?
Yeah. So I have some sage here, and I'm just going to ah, clear our space. Let's take a second to get grounded and um, just close your eyes, take a deep breath in, pull all your energy back into your body. One more time. And yeah, let's you can open your eyes and
Let's dive into the juiciness.
dive in.
Um, I'm really excited about this topic because last night, Tina hosts drum circles and full moon circles specifically. We were at this last night, and I know self-doubt was something that was coming up for both of us that we were releasing. And just having this conversation as we were prepping for this call was, I feel more hopeful and excited. So I can't wait to share some of this with all of you. So this topic is huge, and we can't possibly hit on every single cause and every single symptom and every possible remedy, but we're hoping to be able to give you to leave you with a solid foundation on that today. So,
Mhm.
so let's start with the causes. I know one of the things that we had talked about were societal and cultural expectations. So, Tina, what are some of the ones that you have noticed that impact you and create self-doubt within you?
So I think one of the biggest ones for me is the family, right? So being within a family culture that is a certain way. So with me, my family is like all, you know, go, 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 work, work, work. They're all workaholics. They work their asses off and they and here I am, the black sheep who's like wanting to take things slow and want to do my own thing and all the things, and they see me as lazy or whatever, and they talk to me in that way, and so I get that. That's one of the biggest ones for me. And being like probably maybe a little bit of a black sheep, maybe a lot of a black sheep, where I am doing totally different. I'm the woo person. I'm doing the all of the crazy voodoo that, calling in the devil all the time or whatever, that's what they see it as. And so um that causes a lot of, we have that conflict. So it causes a lot of pressure to conform to, like I said, with my family. I used to be that workaholic along with them. I was pushing constantly and working out, I don't know how, hours and hours, way overtime all the time, and um pushing in my life, and that just doesn't serve me. So
Mhm. I definitely resonate with that a lot too, and within the family and the culture. And then I grew up in a very religious family, like that was part of our
mm-hmm.
family culture.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting because I was getting mixed messages right from the very beginning. So talk about entering into adulthood with confusion and self-doubt, right? So on one hand, I was being taught that as a woman, my place was in the home to be the stay-at-home mom and raise my kids, and that was the ideal, right? But then I was also being taught that an education and having an education as a, kind of in your background is good. So I do both, right? I go get the education and I'm being the mom and the stay-at-home mom. And it was really interesting because it was like you have this degree now, you have a college education, but it's just there for emergencies. Like you're not actually supposed to even use it. So then when I did and I went to work in and had this career, I was getting a lot of both family, well, from all the different angles, right? Family, culture, society, all those different ways where there was a lot of judgments coming in because now my kids are going to a babysitter. And even though she
Mhm.
was amazing, and I am so incredibly thankful for her and the way in which she helped me raise my children, I got a lot of shit for that from the outside, from the close family. But yet, and then it was even things like if I'm a stay-at-home mom, they'll help babysit, but then if I'm working, they won't. So there was a
Mhm.
lot of like behind the scenes stuff, which created self-doubt. Am I doing the right thing? Am I screwing up my family? Am I harming my kids by putting them in daycare? And none of that went back to what was right for me and what was correct for me. And even though I was making decisions that felt right, I was getting so much. So, as a young mom in those early 20s, mid 20s years, I mean, my brain's still developing, right? And in
Yeah.
that time, here comes all this additional pressure.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, definitely. And I'm also very much the black sheep and the nonconformist. But at the time, I was absolutely trying to conform, which was
Mhm.
a whole nother part because the more I tried to conform, the more self-doubt I had, which was really
Mhm.
interesting because you would think it would be the opposite. Um,
Yeah.
so there's all of that in addition.
Right.
Well, and that leads us into comparison culture, right? Because
Mhm.
that is another cause of the self-doubt is that comparison.
Mhm.
Where has that come up for you?
Oh man, from the time I was young, like from the when I had my daughter at an early age, my youngest or my oldest daughter, I was unwed. I was, you know, um living with my mom for a long time, and I compared myself with others, and specifically my sister, who is married and who has, a good job, and her husband and whatever, and so that it started there with that comparison, and just like um comparing myself with, you know it goes there, so it's so deep. You have that comparison, we as women, we look at all of these, especially like when I had my daughter in the 80s, so, and I'm unwed, and it was like, and I was kind of raised in a religious um culture too, but at that time my family was kind of out of it, but you still had those beliefs of you should be married, you should have, you before you have kids and blah blah. And here I am, this young mom, going through all of that, and then with all the comparison, and yeah, and now I see it well, and then I've seen it through all of my years, as I was always a little bit heavier than everybody else, so you're always comparing yourself to with those people who are thinner, and I was comparing myself to, I'm not as pretty as these. I mean, it's like a culture. I think it's a cultural thing. I don't know what it is, but we all do it. I think we see all these, and now we have social media, and with my business, I struggle with that too. I see all these people that are doing so great um, you look at social media, and they look like they're doing so many so much and so many good things, and they're they're the you're not doing all of that, and so I see that, really. I struggle with that too, so I have to really watch how who I follow, and um how I interact with them, I
And
guess. I don't
yeah,
know how to,
and how to
yeah, so I
consume
have to be,
social media too.
yeah, yeah, so,
I know for me, I mean, I would echo everything that you're saying as well with it's been since the beginning of time. And we give
mhm,
social media a bad rap. And yeah, I mean, it has really, and it would be hard to grow up as a teen during this time. And I get that. But it was around,
mhm,
self-doubt, comparison, all of that, just like what you're saying. It's been around way before social media was even thought of. Um, so I don't want to put all of the emphasis on there because it lives within us. It's the people that we see when we go to town. It's the people that we it's our family and the people like what
Hmm.
you're saying with your sister and stuff, and we're comparing ourselves in all of that. I do have an idea with where a lot of that, what it's for and what the purpose is, but diving into a little bit more of the cause of that though, what happens when we see the other and we're comparing, it can be a gift where it's showing us maybe something that we aspire to or something that we really want and really kind of awakening us to our desires. Um, but it can also start creating what's wrong with me. And that's where that
Hmm.
self-doubt comes in is if this is the ideal and I don't have it, then I'm broken. I'm not good enough. And it's more that is the detriment rather than the aspiration, like with what you're saying with people that we see online with businesses, that can give us inspiration and something to aspire to and reach for. And we can be um, the cheerleaders and be like, you go, this is awesome. Look at you. That's amazing. And really cheering them on and be like, that's the direction I want to go. Now I have some clarity on what I want. We can use it in that way. But more often than not, I mean, that takes a whole different level of mindset work to be able to be there.
Hmm.
And I definitely fluctuate. You know, I see things online. I'm like, hell yeah, you go, girl. Like, look at
Hmm.
her. She's amazing. I'm so excited for that person. But then it also can swing back to me and be like, well, if I figured my shit out, I could be there too. And
Right.
so here comes in this self doubt of, I don't know what I'm talking about, or I haven't figured this out, or I haven't learned.
Hmm.
Um, and for me, that's where that overconsumption comes in that we talked about a few weeks ago. I'll link that in the description down below
Yeah.
because there's another good topic to investigate. But um, so yeah, there's some more with that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
anything else with
definitely.
that?
I I'm like I'm with you with like the I can be in that space of yay you go and then turn around and be back in that space of oh shit if I did my thing if I did this better you know.
Yep. And I think it's important to notice how you as a consumer um, react to that.
Hmm.
So what we just described, where we're like number one cheerleader and fangirl of this person who's successful, and then turn it back on to us not being enough, right? That's one way that we see that's fairly common. But another way is that bitch, I hate her, right?
Hmm. Oh yeah.
So when we're coming at it from that place of anger and I hate her, we're kind of leveling up that self doubt in a whole different way because now we're also assuming that those looking at us are doing the same thing.
Hmm.
So that creates a whole new symptom that we'll cover in a minute. But we have to keep that in mind, right? Because if that is how we're showing up and reacting to other people's success, even if it's perceived or fake, whatever, who knows, but when we're seeing that online and we're having that comparison and it's coming up to, I want that and I'm angry at that person, then if or when we start having a similar level of success in our own life, here comes this fear and self doubt of, ooh, I don't want to be seen because they're going to say that bitch, I hate her. And it's
Right.
just that cycle that we get ourselves into. So sometimes we're creating our own stress in that way too.
Right.
So,
Totally.
um, another cause that we kind of talked about were life experiences, both
Yeah.
childhood and adulthood. You've shared some, but do you have others that you want to share specifically around the self-doubt?
um I think that mostly it's just been the I mean it starts from with me it has started from childhood. You have especially if you have parents who are not supportive or who so what happens in some families is the parents will be like, okay, so you are the like for me, I was the horse person, the outdoors person. I was dad's girl. I was always out doing the cowgirl thing. My sister was the artist. She could do, and she was the in the house, the baker, the person who did all of the in the house stuff. My brother was the I don't know what he was. He was all of the things, you know. He was the boy. He could do all of the things,
I
right?
was exactly going to say he was the boy.
Yeah.
Especially in
And
that time, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like, and so we had all of these labels. You know, my sister's the artist, Tina's the horse person, Mike's the boy. And so it was like that was the things that, so when I started growing up, I never knew I could draw or paint. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be that person who does those kinds of things. But no, I was the outdoor girl, right? So whenever I tried to do crafting or tried to do any, because my sister, man, she's like the crafting queen, you know. I tried to do it, and I'm like, all this self-doubt comes up because it's like I was labeled this other way, you know, from the time I was young. And so that is just one instance, you know, but there's so many different as you're growing up. I mean, even like from school age, when you're in with other kids, you get that, you know, you get those pokes from them because you're different or whatever, you know, and um we I was raised in a very religious, my, you know, I was Jehovah's Witness, so it was like we couldn't do holidays, we couldn't do, eh, you know, spending the night with somebody was like we couldn't. So it was totally different, and so we had all of those. I had all of those little experiences as I was growing up with that do cause that self doubt, that do cause, you know, just so just for as a for instance with the art stuff, I didn't start really, I mean, as I was in my 20s, I was starting to kind of do crafty things. So I do crafts and stuff, and I loved it. And then it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I decided I'm going to try to paint. I got on a YouTube thing and I'm like, I'm going to paint a picture. And I painted this picture and I was like, oh my God, I can paint.
I'm like the
And of
Bob
course, I
Ross
went,
where it's like we're gonna paint a happy little tree over that huge
yeah.
mistake.
And I've never learned to, I don't like, to me, I would love to be that person that does the realistic stuff. And that's what my sister does. She can do like, you know, landscapes and different things like that. That's not me. That's not my style. And I do more, I don't know, it's more I can't, it's not even abstract, but it's not real, you know, like
Detailed.
that way detailed, but it's fun, and I'm like, oh, I can draw. I can do this. And so it's taken me, you know, took me in my 40s, and then it's taken me all this time because I look at, and then the comparison comes in because I look at other people, and then with the drum making I look at other people's drums and I'm like, oh, maybe mine's not as good, you know. So
Hmm.
you have all those doubts that do come in, and self-doubt. So
Hmm.
that's
I
kind of how it.
definitely, within my childhood and growing up experience as well, um, I grew up in a very different experience than what you just described, but I see a lot of similarities also. But one of the things that stands out the most to me in my really early childhood years was always feeling like the third wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I don't, I I had a good relationship with my dad, but even so, it was like, well, my mom and dad got divorced when I was really young, but I remember feeling, I don't, my words at that time wasn't the third wheel, right? Because I didn't even know what that phrase meant, but I very much felt like on the perimeter, even of my family. And, and I felt like I was in the way. I felt like I was, in a lot of ways, I was neglected. And so I mean, yes, my basic needs were taken care of, and I had a pretty, decent childhood. It's not like it was horrific
Mm-hmm.
by any means. Um, I know what horrific looks like. That was not my childhood, but
Mhm.
it was very much go, go, just go do, go away, be gone.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up, the majority of my memories were not really at home. It was maybe in the summers with my dad and my grandma. And then when I was in my hometown where I was living, I was with my friend and growing up at her house with her family. But I wasn't her family, right? I was the friend that was always there. I was the tag along. I was the third wheel. And I felt that very much in my own biological family as well as like that adopted family of my friends. And so I grew up with that being a big theme in my life experience of always being kind of, yeah, okay, fine, she can be here, you know?
Hmm.
So there comes that self-doubt as I'm stepping into my own value, my own worth, my own spotlight, my own relationships, like whatever it may be. I really find that pattern come up pretty regularly still, which creates self-doubt for me, right? Where it's like, well, do people really want this or are they humoring me? You know, do
Hmm.
they really want my advice or are they just like being polite and being kind, but I'm the third wheel? You know, I mean, I really have a lot of that lives within me too with that self-doubt. So interesting. And those childhood experiences moved into even like my marriage when I was married. That theme was very much there where I felt, and then even people that I dated for a while after my divorce, it was like, oh, she'll do. You
Hmm.
know, it was almost like indifferent, like I'm a space holder until a better one comes along, right? Like it took a long time for me, especially in that relationship mode, to actually own I am worth it. I'm a damn good catch. Like, I mean, I was 39 when I had that moment of like, hold on,
Uh-huh.
you know, if this is what's going on in these relationships, then they're not the correct relationships because I have a lot of value. I'm da 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 da. Here's gifts that I have, and it really kind of helped me overcome that self-doubt in that time.
Mhm.
But I still see it showing up in other areas of my life.
Right.
So
Oh, that's interesting.
it is, huh? I know. I'm like, that's the first time I've shared any of that. I didn't even pull that out in my book, but maybe it will be in a book too. So
Right.
yeah, so there's some of that. But so any more on causes that you want to bring out before we move into symptoms?
No, I think we I think
I
we
mean, there's a
covered
ton,
it.
right? But we
There
really
is
kind of
there's
wanted
like a
to not talk about the causes forever. So
yeah.
moving into
Yeah.
symptoms, what are some that you recognize in yourself or that you see with clients that you work with or whatever?
I know for me one of the big ones is indecisiveness and procrastination. So there's two right there that I it used to be perfectionism, but it's now but those two are like one and the same, I think. Um but yeah, so for me, indecision, trying to decide what the fuck I want to do.
Speaking to me
Sometimes
too. I hear you wholeheartedly.
sometimes it's like, oh, but there's so many options. And it's like, oh, but maybe, but I could do this, or oh, but is this gonna work? And is that gonna, and like in my business, it has been really showing up strong in in not deciding. So in the indecision, I'm not making a decision. So what I'm doing is just spending all my time in churning it instead of making the decision that needs to be made. So I'm just churn, and going over all the different other options that I could do, or oh, maybe this isn't right for my business, or maybe that isn't right for my business. And so, yeah, I really struggle with that. And even to the point of sometimes, like with my moon circles, it's like, what day is going to be the best day for this circle? Because if it doesn't land on like um because like if it lands on a Wednesday, I can't really do on Wednesday at the place that I do it because they do other things there. Or if it lands on a weekend, it's like most people are not around on the weekend, so I'm not going to do it on a weekend. And so then I'm like, what day is going to be good for all my people? Instead of making it's like if it lands on Wednesday, we're going to do it on Thursday. If it lands on Saturday, we're going to do it on Friday. And but no, I'm like, oh, I gotta think about this for 10 days, and then and then like a week before the moon circle I decide,
Mhm.
it's not that bad, but yeah, it's like, so that's kind of some of the ways that it shows up for me.
Mhm. I definitely, well, I've had a couple of different themes in my life. So rewinding, and I actually saw this come up again with another person recently, but I really used to ask a lot of other people, like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And so what
Mhm.
I was really seeking was that external validation. I wanted you to tell me that my idea was a good one and that it was
Mhm.
correct and that it would lead to happily ever after. Um, and so I was seeking that from a lot of different people, but that actually, unfortunately, backfired and created more self-doubt because weird, no one person has the same advice, right? And everybody's sharing either what worked for them or what they were taught, or they're just kind of regurgitating things, but nobody, well, and even people, even though many of them were giving me what I would consider good, heartfelt, honest, good intention advice, it wasn't correct for me, and there was something within me that knew that that wasn't right. And so then I was in again this self-doubt because here's this internal battle between, do I do what Tina said or do I do what feels right to me? And if I don't do what Tina says, then is she going to be upset and mad with me? Because there were people in my life who were, and then not you, obviously, but like other people. And so they'd be mad at me for not doing what they said. But at the same time, the times I did what they said and I did it verbatim and it still didn't work out, then it was, well, you're doing it wrong or you're not doing it good enough. Like that. So that seeking that external validation, while I understand the desire behind that, we, it just, that actually created more self doubt within me. And I still catch myself in that rhythm today,
Mhm.
especially because I mean, I have this business, but I'm always open to new ways of doing things, right? And I'm trying to find like that sweet spot. And
Mhm.
so I reach out and look for that. And instead of looking at it as for inspiration and ideas, I'm looking at it as the authority and I'm looking to that teacher as someone who knows more and has it figured out. So I try the things and they don't work and I'm back in the cycle.
Mhm.
And so even that for me, that seeking validation has almost always backfired into just more self-doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there too. That's been one of my patterns for it, a long time too, was looking outside of myself for those answers. I mean, that was one thing I and that goes back to the, you know, expectations as a child, when the parents were telling me that I should do this or I should do that, and then I grew up with a mother who was always telling me you should be doing this and you should be doing that, and that is exactly, that was where all my self-doubt would come in, is like I didn't have somebody to always telling me what I should be doing, and so then I was looking outside of myself for somebody to tell me what I should do, or somebody to, like you said, validate whatever I was. And the other thing was, and this negative self talk comes in so hard. It's like my brain is like, oh, what is wrong with you? Why can't you do this? Why can't why can you not get this or whatever, and you're a horrible person because you're not doing this, or damn, I'm so fat and look at this other person, or and so all of these things come up, um and cause that self-doubt. And the other thing that I've noticed too is like busy staying busy, because that's a way of avoiding things, right? Is that busyness. And when we've I grew up in that culture of hustle, 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 hustle. So now I look at, and it for me, but I've also seen it in other people and in clients who are just continually busy, but they're doing nothing. I mean, they're doing the busy work basically, and it's not anything that's going to even move the dial. And I've done that. I do that. Um, um, just churning my wheels. I'm on this hamster wheel, just kind of go, 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 and staying busy. But that is kind of a way of avoiding making the decision, a way of avoiding, you know, all of the things that, it's a way of keeping myself in that space.
Mhm.
And, and, and then I'm in that, then the self doubt comes in. And then it just like this circle that just kind of keeps going, churning and churning.
Yeah, it's a cycle, right? It's a loop. And
Mhm,
really, I mean, we get caught in it is the
mhm,
challenge. It becomes a pattern and a habit loop.
mhm,
I know one other symptom that I have kind of seen more so in some clients that I've worked with, but it is a self-doubt that's attached to a cycle of blame. And I don't know that we always recognize that that is a symptom,
mhm,
but it kind of goes on with that seeking validation, but it's even more deep than that, where if I go to you to seek validation and you give me some advice and I do it and it doesn't work, it's your fault. It's not
right.
my fault.
Yep.
So it doesn't have to be, but it still creates, again, it's that backfiring because then I still don't know what to do, right?
Mhm,
So here's still that self-doubt. Well, or we can do the same thing where it's like, well, she did it and it worked for her.
mhm,
So we're back in comparison, but it's really interesting because usually the root of it is I don't know what to do and I don't want to be wrong, so I'm going to reach out to someone else, take their advice and try that hat on, and then when it doesn't work for me, it's not my fault. But yet then we still end up negative self-talk to ourselves where we're beating
mhm,
ourselves up. We're avoiding any kind of responsibility with it. We're being super indecisive. Like all those symptoms that we just brought up can also be from that place of I don't want to be wrong.
mhm,
And here comes the self-doubt as that overall root because that I don't my self-doubt is that I can make the right decision or I don't have that confidence I can make the right decision, so I'm going to do all this, but here comes that blame and everything. So it's really interesting all the different ways that this self-doubt can sneak into our lives and really
mhm.
create a lot of havoc.
Yes, definitely.
So, remedies. Let's spend a little time talking about some ways to remedy self-doubt. Now, I do want to preface this by saying this is not one size fits all, and these are not all the remedies. We would be here for hours and hours if we went into all of that. But I also want to say, as we're going through this and having this discussion, for those of you who are listening, please pick one that stands out. This is the one that shines to you, the one that you're like, ooh, I could start with that. Just pick one. Don't try to do all the things because there creates more self-doubt. So
Mhm,
pick one of these that really resonates to you the most and try that on for a significant amount of time, not a week, as Tina and I
Oh,
were talking about. That's one of the things that Tina and I do is we keep getting into this. We try a remedy for a short term and then we don't have the results we want. And it's like, I did it for 6 solid weeks and it didn't do anything. Okay, cool. What if we would have done it for a year? Like,
mhm.
giving ourselves some real experiment with this when you pick one. So what are some remedies that really resonate with you?
Well, for me, of course, gratitude practice. So, if and I just picked that back up again. I mean, we talked about gratitude in a couple of our videos
I'll
now.
put that one in below as well.
Yeah, we have one specifically on gratitude. But for me, a gratitude practice helps to rewire our brain in a way that helps us to start seeing the positive in our life instead of where we're always noticing those negative things, which in turn will help us to start building that resilience to self doubt. I guess is how you'd put it. But so gratitude, that's and that's mindset. That's just changing, working on our mindset. Meditation is another good one that if you can find and we've talked about insight timer. If you can find good med like guided meditations that will help you to change your mindset, to help you work on the self doubt through the meditation. I feel like that's a good one. Energy work is another really good way. When you go in for a Reiki session, um, that can be one of the intentions that you set as you're getting that energy work to help to release that self-doubt. So those three are like some of the my favorite ones. And we talked about making the damn decision, which I loved. You put that in there. It's like just make a decision, just like what you just said is make a decision, pick one thing and go with it. And if that doesn't work out in a significant amount of time, not in a day or a week, you know, then move on to the next decision. But yeah, so making the decisions definitely. So some of those are some good ones there.
Well, you know, I love the affirmations because I have my coffee company that's all
Yeah,
based
yep.
on positive I am statements. But
Yep.
the reason is because it has worked for me. And I
Hmm.
love that because a lot of these remedies, people want to just like, that's not hard enough. It's not
Hmm.
severe enough. Well, it's the little shit that you do on a regular
Yeah.
basis that makes big change. So
Yep.
don't write these off as, oh, that's not going to work for me. I need something better.
Hmm.
No.
Hmm.
One
Right.
of these will literally change your life. And
Hmm.
even because I remember years ago when I had first started stepping into the world of business. And I was listening to a podcast quite regularly. And I remember one day I'm in the shower and I'm listening to this podcast, and she's talking about being an entrepreneur. And I mean, I'd been listening to this for months and months and months. And it clicked. Oh my gosh, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a business. I knew this, but it really landed that way. And it was because I was repeating this. I mean, it was not like I was repeating an affirmation, but I was repeating that same educational content and learning new things about it. But it just really finally resonated with me. And then I had another really cool experience where I was having coffee one morning. I was drinking my coffee, and I had one that was, I think it was last year, even at this time. And I have a pumpkin spice flavored that's called I Am Thankful. And I have this moment this morning, and I'm just okay, I have a coffee ritual in my morning time. So I'm in the middle of it and just loving it. And I have this flood of and I felt it to the core, all the things I'm thankful for. And it's just like a laundry list of things and just really showing me the beauty of what I have in my life, the people who are there, the relationships that I have, my animals, my house, my truck, my all my things. I'm just like all of it is pouring in. And I kind of chuckled because I was like, I picked up the bag. I am thankful before I was even fully awake. And that positive affirmation started that search in my subconscious to start showing me all the things I'm thankful for. And here they came. And so for me, those affirmations are huge. And when we can strategically put them in the area where we're having some self doubt, you know, I am powerful, I am strong, I am confident, I make decisions easily, like whatever those things may be. And no, it's not going to change your life after you do it for a day.
Hmm.
That's repeated over time where that shifts that wiring in your brain and creates that new neural pathway. So, whenever you feel like you've done it enough, you need to do it longer. You need to do it more.
Hmm.
So yeah, I definitely resonate with that one. I know for me, another one of the remedies is clarity. That's this whole year, I feel like I've been working on clarity. I had a lot of confusion, which was causing indecisiveness and self-doubt and all these things we've been talking about.
Hmm.
But really getting clear on what is the issue, you know, where is this doubt coming from? Is this just a signal to show me where I have room for growth? Do I really need maybe I really do need some more competency in that area, but maybe I just need to reach out to someone for support. Maybe I need to get a little bit of guidance in this area. Or maybe I just need to use a friend as a sounding board as I'm talking my way through it. Or maybe I need to do these meditation practices, or like really having clarity around what's going on can help you decide what it is that you need: gratitude, meditation, affirmations, whatever. But sometimes it's like, okay, I really do need to learn a little bit more in this way. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging that maybe we do need a little bit more education in that way as well. But most often we know more than we think we do, and we need to just actually apply that. So really getting clear on what is the actual problem. I mean, you and I had this conversation earlier this week where I was like, I don't even remember what I was talking about. And then by the end of our conversation, I'm like, oh. I actually do know what I'm talking about and I actually can do this thing. But it was so, but that's one of the things to recognize is I needed that support of someone to be able to just kind of troubleshoot back and forth with. And then by the end of it, I had come to my own
You'd
conclusion
answered
that,
your own question. So
yeah,
I'm, yeah, it was like, maybe I'm answering my own question. I'm like, you answered it right there.
I did. So it's like if you don't have those people in your life, that would be something that you would want to start to cultivate. And it's not a quick fix. None of that is a quick
Mhm.
fix, but it's finding those people that you can trust where you can have those open conversations with. And then in the middle of a voice memo, go, I think I just answered my own question in the middle of this, you know?
Right.
Um, but that again, the clarity comes through that when you're actually speaking from your heart, your inspiration. Um, and then also definitely taking action because here for me this is probably one of the most challenging things when you're in a place of self-doubt, right? Because when you're doubting yourself and you're feeling like you don't know enough, you're not good enough, you're not whatever enough, like all those things that come up, taking action is requires courage. It is a courageous act. And this is, I love Mel Robbins, the 5 second rule for this, five,
Mhm.
four, three, two, one. I also love like F it, let's go. And I
Mhm.
just say fuck it, but there's actually a phrase, F it, let's go. But I love that because 90% of the stuff that we're stressing about is not death and destruction. You know, I catch myself doing this on a business Facebook post and I'm
Mhm.
overthinking it and I'm overanalyzing it and I have all these self-doubts and oh my hell, it's going to be gone in less than 24 hours. You know, it's like
Mhm.
post the damn thing,
Mhm.
have the difficult conversation. It's not, I mean, just those little things that it's taking action. It's one little step that can
Mhm.
be actually very confidence building as well.
Right.
Um, I know for me, and this is kind of a symptom as well as a remedy. So the overthinking is a self-doubt
Mhm.
symptom that we didn't bring
Mhm.
up. But one of the ways that helps me out of that is to um I do much better when I don't think things all the way through. But that's also my design. Like I see that all over in my human design and I can see how that's really beneficial for me. So one thing that's helped me with this whole thing of self-doubt is that very act. So I decided I was going to lead a guided meditation here in the Salt Palace at Meraki and do it, once a week. So we get it all set up, we start advertising. It's the first day and I have people showing up and I go in there and I sit down and I turn on some music and I get ready to go and I realize that I've never like led a group like that guided meditation. It wasn't until I was in that moment that I was actually like, oh shit, I've never done this before. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing, but fuck it, here I am,
Mhm.
and I really had to just like, I loved it because in that moment, I didn't panic because panic doesn't help anything. And I was just like, well, I'm here. We've got music. I don't have to overcomplicate it. What are the things I do know? And so it was like I got some grounding in, we did some chakra balancing. Um, and then I picked up on the things that I know, right? The earth, the energy of the earth, the energy of the salt, the like all of that. And then I led a really cool meditation. And there was a lot of long pauses in between. And that's great. It was
Mhm.
fabulous. And I walked out of there like, whoa, you just pulled that off. You just pulled that out of your ass, is what you just did. But had I thought it all the way through, I would have had so much more self-doubt, so much
Mhm.
fear, so much uncertainty, so much, what the hell am I even thinking? I can't do this. It wasn't until I was in the moment. And I've seen that for myself several times where I'm like in it and I go, oh crap, what the hell am I doing? But I'm already there and I just roll with it and it turns out really good. And that has helped me build self-confidence and also helped me in a lot of times overcome that self-doubt when I can be like, just show up, just be there, just do the thing, and it's fine. So,
Mhm.
So that take action, just do it, stop overthinking, all of those things kind of combine for me and really have been helpful with it as
Mm,
a remedy.
yeah, I see that, and I love that. And actually, with doing these videos with you, that because that's how you are. You're so. I mean, it's like, let's talk about this today, and off we go. And I'm just like, for me, I want to plan. I want to not a specific plan, but I want to plan out, kind of what I'm doing. So like when I first started doing drum circles, it was like I had no freaking idea what I was doing. Had no, I just knew I'm going to do a drum circle. So I scheduled the drum circle, but then it's like, okay, what do I do? And so I reached out to a friend I knew who did drum circles, and she told me how she led her drum circles. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll try that. And so my first drum circle, that's what I did, was very similar to what she told me, and as I went on, I came up with this structure that for me that worked for me. I had to, because I'm not you. I'm not I have to have that little plan. And a little bit of structure in what I do. And so since then I've come up with a structure, and it's evolved. It's a different structure now than it was when I first started. And I allow myself to do that. But that built my confidence in doing the drum circles. And now, and it's kind of like when we did our Reiki class just recently, right? We both went into it with like kind of, oh, we got to go. When I've taught all my Reiki classes, I use the book, and we decided we're doing it a whole different way than normal. And so when we go in, we're both kind of like, we kind of just,
Who's teaching this and who's teaching? Do you want me to teach this part?
yeah, shall we do this? Which part do you want to do?
And it was amazing. It was
And it
amazing.
was, it turned out awesome. And it gave us both the confidence and realization that both of us know our shit, right? And so there was like this, that, but at the beginning there was a little bit of self-doubt. It was like, oh, I don't know, and I've taught, several classes before, but this one, when I walked in, I was nervous, and part of it's because I'm working with you, who can do the fly by your ass shit. I don't
Talk out of my ass. Yep.
know.
Well, but I think
But
it's important to look at so here we are in like this idea of comparison, right? And I think it's important to look at what goes into those things, right? So before I just jumped in and did this completely unscripted guided meditation, I'd been meditating for years and years and
yep.
years,
Mm-hmm.
following guided meditations. I had led meditations through groups that I do online and such, but it was scripted. So this was not like I've never meditated before and just jumped in
Mm-hmm.
and winged it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same with like our Reiki class, we had an agenda that we were following. And
Right.
then and like what you were talking about with the circles and a lot of things I've done as well, we what I'm kind of hearing between both of us is that we have had a recipe to follow in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning
Yep.
and then we've been able to make it our own.
Mm-hmm.
And that has really helped to alleviate some of that self-doubt for me. When I first started coaching, I had, from my life coaching school, I had a program. I
Mm-hmm.
had, this is what you cover each week. And I did that with several clients in the beginning until I started seeing that we weren't even following the book. Like we were going the
Mm-hmm.
direction that they needed to go. And I was starting to realize that I have a very strong intuition and an intuitive way of being able to pull things out. And, they were coming to me for weight loss and we were covering childhood trauma. And I mean, it was like, so at that point was when I was like, okay, I can put this aside and I need to create my own because this is what we're doing. And this is,
Mm-hmm.
so I was seeing some of that coming. Um, but I also think self-doubt, and one of the remedies is to recognize it is a signal. Like what you just said about going into this Reiki training and you've taught a whole bunch, but this one you were nervous for. because we're leveling up. We're doing it in a different way. We're showing up. And there was a lot of vulnerability that both of us put into that class
Right.
where it required us to level up. It required us to know our shit, to be able to teach the things that we believe in versus what's right there, the
Right
easy
there in the
way,
book. Yep.
you know? Um, and I feel that that is a big self-doubt enhancer almost, but it's there to let you know that you're leveling up, you're stepping into something that you're out of your comfort zone. This is a good thing. It's like, okay, there you are again. I don't have to eliminate you and get and kill self-doubt. I just need to recognize that when it's there, it's showing me that this topic matters. It's showing me that this is something that I care about, even if it is comparison about a body, right? Where it can be, maybe I need to do mindset work and body love work. Or
Hmm.
maybe it is a signal that, you and I've talked about, I've had some health issue things coming up that they're not health issues, but they're little spidey sense, time to pay attention to your body, right?
Right.
So even though I'm not necessarily having comparison in that way, I'm recognizing these things and I want to nip it in the bud before it becomes a problem. And so it's, if we look at self-doubt, one of the remedies is to acknowledge it as a gift, to acknowledge that it is here for us. It has a purpose. When we're younger, it is a survival skill, right? Because when we can fit inside the tribal community, it means we're taken care of, it means we're safe. When we carry that into adulthood, now we're adults, we're making decisions, things look different. Um, we may not need to hold on to that as much, but this is where the gift of letting things go comes in. This is the shadow work that I love so much, where that can come in. Um, but yeah, what are your, how does that resonate with you?
Yes, it resonates a lot with me. And I was thinking as you were talking about imposter syndrome and how, how imposter syndrome is also a sign that you're leveling up. When we start thinking that we're not good enough or oh my God, what do I think I'm doing? What am I doing here? How why would I even try this? That is a sign that we're leveling up. So it just made me really think about that. And then um, just being aware. So when we're aware of when that self doubt niggles in that because like a lot of times we're on autopilot, right? So we live our lives, many of us live our lives on autopilot. And we don't even notice when that self doubts come in. It's just like all of a sudden we're procrastinating and we don't even think about it as being self doubt or we're avoiding the issue or we are I don't know, all the things that we just talked about. We're doing those things and it's like um we let those things, we're not even thinking about it. Um we've lost touch with that. We don't know that that's the thing. But when we start becoming aware of, oh shit, I'm avoiding this. Okay, why am I avoiding this? And that is one of the things that, like journaling, that's another good thing that we can use for helping us to, as the remedy or as a remedy is to journal. Why am I avoiding this? Oh, it's that self-doubt coming in again. Or why am I um being busy all the time? Why am I doing all this busy work? Oh, I'm avoiding something. And why? Because of the self-doubt, right? So if we can try to stay in that state of awareness of, when we can be aware of it, that's when we can start to use these remedies, the clarity or the gratitude, the journaling, the meditations, it's having that awareness, because many times we don't even realize it until one of our friends says, yeah, maybe you're having a little bit of self-doubt there. What's up? Or, are you procrastinating? Or,
Or why are you procrastinating?
yeah, why are you procrastinating? So, yeah, it's just like taking that. So that goes along with taking action, but it's being aware
That
of,
mindfulness.
yeah, it's being mindful, being aware.
And sometimes so a lot of these remedies, like sometimes it's the simple act to stop doing something, right? Like if I'm in that comparison trap and I'm seeing that and I'm having self-doubt, it's like, okay, it is time for me to stop consuming so much social media.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's about timing, right? So if I'm consuming social media right before I go to sleep, my subconscious is going to continue to spin on that all night long. So then here I am, even though my phone is off, my mind is still spinning on it. So it's making it worse. Same thing when I first wake up. If I go straight to social media, then I'm starting my day from this place of chasing, trying to play catch up comparison. So the remedy there is to take action to stop something, like
Mm-hmm.
stop looking at social media as much, like stop over consuming, but especially not first thing in the morning and not in the evening. Absolutely none of that there. I know you kind
Mm-hmm.
of have that where it's like at this time social media is off. And
Yes.
so that is the action step for that too, if that is something that you recognize as a challenge for you.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. For me, I won't, I try to an hour before bed, I put all the electronics away. And then an hour after I get up, I try not to consume anything on social media. I just don't, or even my emails, nothing. I don't even, I try not to pick up the electronics. And it's not always, it doesn't always happen, but most of the time I'm getting better. It's becoming better because I walk outside. I go for a walk, and then I don't have my, unless it's to pick it up and say, "Hey Tanya, I just had this whole idea."
But we're not consuming the social media. Like I do that too. If I go on a walk, I take it with me and I even
Yeah.
take my earbuds, even though I'm not listening to anything, because
Mhm.
I'll see a crow and I have to be like, oh my gosh, Tina, this
Yeah.
just happened and I have to share
Yeah.
that with you. So definitely, but
Yeah.
but it's the intention,
Yeah.
right? And it
Yeah.
is, and I think too, it's recognizing when we're in a cycle of self-doubt, recognizing that I'm in it. If you're one of those people who are like, I'm never out of self-doubt, okay, cool. It's time to double down and do more than one of these things and
Yeah.
start like zeroing in on self-work and doing any of these or creating your own, whatever those may
Mhm.
be, even if these remedies don't really resonate with you, that's fine. Pick one, just
Right.
one, and
Right.
start there.
And sometimes it is going to a counselor, or somebody who,
Or a
a
coach.
coach, or somebody who can help you to move through those limiting beliefs that you have, that self-doubt, that all of that, because um it can be difficult to get yourself out of that. So
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes it can be that.
Yep. Anything else that you want to cover on this topic, or do you feel complete?
Um, One other thing that we mentioned earlier was like just taking it one day at a time, just for today.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
That's
gonna
actually
be
one of the Reiki principles, and
Yep.
it's probably one of my favorites, the one I go to most. Just for
Mhm.
today, just for today, I
Yeah.
will be grateful. Just for today, I will not fear. I don't remember all of them off the top of
Yeah.
my head,
Yeah.
but I really love that, and I'm glad you brought that up because it is, we think that everything has to be from now for the rest of our life, and it feels very overwhelming, and we usually freeze and vapor lock before we even get started. And so,
Mhm.
just for today, I will
Mhm.
practice gratitude,
Right.
or I will, whatever that is that you choose, whichever one of these you choose, do that just for today. And then
Mhm.
tomorrow, do that same thing just for
Just for
today.
today. Right.
But it helps narrow that window because otherwise it's too big and we stall.
Mhm. Yeah. So I think that's a good one to remind people to just take it one day at a time.
Yep.
Little bite-sized pieces. That's the way you're going to change your mindset.
Yep.
So,
I love it. I love it.
yeah.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it
Okay.
for
I
me.
feel good with it too. Yes, I
Yeah.
think we've got a lot of good stuff here. So,
Yeah.
so please let us know which of these remedies are you going to start with. Put that in the comments below. We'd love to be able to communicate with you on that and have some community building down there. So share that with us. Really want to remind you as well that we have our Wisdom Within toolkit. You can get the description down below. We have so many practices and tools for you as well to work on a lot of different aspects of your life, really helping you to tap into that wisdom within so that you're able to make better decisions and move forward in a different way with alignment and clarity. So check that out as well. And like, comment, share all the good things, right?
Right. Right.
All right. So with that, do you want to kind of zero us back into reality?
Yeah. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Feel your body in the chair. Pull all your energy back. Another deep breath in. Allowing yourself to ground into this today. And yeah, go ahead and open your eyes. Oh,
Thank you. Feels good.
yeah, thank you.
All right. We'll be back soon.
See ya.